Welcome to the JCPod, partnered with Stay Down Sports. I'm your host, Jaden Chandler Parnell, and man, I'm not going to lie to you. We got a tough one today. Breaking down the AFC North, and still don't know if I've decided my order of who I think is going to win the division. This is probably going to be the shortest breakdown I give because this is going to be the toughest. This is my toughest division. I can't truly figure it out. I'm not too confident in a lot of the stuff I've looked at so far, but I got a few things I'm confident in, but overall, there's just, man, with how good this division was last year, only division with every team having a winning record. Bringing back some healthy guys. Some teams have gotten even better. I mean, there's just so much with this team that I can't fully figure out. So it's gonna be a fun little breakdown we'll have going there. What was I gonna say? I'll probably do NFL news at the end again if we have some time. We don't go too long, which I'm assuming we might not, because there is some stuff that it's starting to get to the point where we can start covering a little bit of things. We're starting to actually have some legitimate news coming out, like Cortland Sutton restructured his deal, stuff like that. So we'll be doing that after the breakdown. Before we hop right into the breakdown, I want to finish the intro with something real quick. Shout out to my boy Rowan, the big old Larry Bird yesterday. Celebrated his third birthday. Shout out to my boy Rowan. Can't wait to get him back on, talk a little WNBA, because, I won't lie, WNBA is on break right now. It's going to be coming back, I think, August 15th-ish. They got Olympic stuff going on right now. Can't wait to have the boy back. Have him on to catch up on some baseball, catch up on some WNBA, all that other stuff, because, hey, now, in a few more days, we got about, I think, 31 days, and then we got 42 days. College football, NFL football. Man. Well, like I said, we'll go over the breakdowns first. We'll go to AFC North. Looking at the division last year, Ravens finished 13-4, Bengals finished 9-8, Steelers finished 10-7, Browns finished 11-6. Each of these teams had a rocky except for the Ravens. I guess the Ravens have the most steady of the seasons. They had honestly really, really good season until the final game, kind of. And then for the rest of the teams, they had really, really just chaotic years. Bengals lost their quarterback. Steelers had quarterback issues all season. I mean, Browns went through a shit ton of quarterbacks. Injury plague throughout all of these teams. So yeah, I mean, it's just going to be an interesting division when it comes down to figuring out who's going to win it for this year. I guess the first team we can go over we'll go over the Cleveland Browns. They very, very interesting what they had happen to them last year. Deshaun Watson just kind of gets hurt. He has a weird injury with his shoulder, and then he's gone all year, so then they have Joe Flacco playing a few games. He wins comeback player of the year. They still make the playoffs. Still a really, really good season, even with all the quarterback chaos they went through. Dorian Thompson-Robinson started a few games for them last year. 11-6. I mean, they still had a really, really good season. The win total over-under for this season's at 8.5. We'll talk about it when we go through the schedule. I don't know. I'm thinking potentially, I think I'm personally leaning under a little bit, but just simply for the fact that I can't figure out first off, which Deshaun Watson we're going to see, and then second off, what Cleveland Browns team we're fully going to see, because they don't have Joe Flacco anymore. But yeah, looking at some of their signings, they signed Brian Allen to a contract around like May time. I'm trying to remember. I don't think they had any like big like off the not transfer portal, Jesus, off the waiver wire signing. Like, I don't think there was anything too huge. I think they just I got probably some of their biggest news was they announced the extension for Kevin Stefanski and general manager Andrew Berry. I've done good things with this Cleveland Browns team so far. Yeah, overall, I mean, it's not too crazy of a year for them. They signed Dustin Hopkins to a 3-year deal. Past that, I mean, I think their roster's pretty much about a lot of the same. Looking at their depth chart, you look at Deshaun Watson, who's questionable right now. I guess Jameis Winston, Tyler Huntley are two quarterbacks they brought in. I'm glad I looked at this because I guess I just missed that part. But yeah, they got Jameis Winston, Tyler Huntley are two quarterbacks they brought in. Also brought in Dante Foreman. They still got Jerome Ford, and it looks like those two will get a majority of the carries. Nick Chubb, who's the starter, is going to be out. I think he started this year on the PUP list. They also have Naeem Hines, who I think is also starting the year injured after having a jet ski incident last year. Wide receiver-wise, they brought in Jerry Jeudy. Maybe, man, I was wrong. They had a decent amount of big signings. I just couldn't remember for whatever reason. I don't know why. I guess I just put some of these names out of my head. Because I guess, like, Jameis Winston, Tyler Huntley, those aren't, like, big names. Those are some subtle, like, nice signings. Like I said, signing Brian Allen to have a backup center. Jerry Jeudy, solid wide receiver. They got Elijah Moore, David Njoku still. Cedric Tillman, David Bell, James Prochet, Michael Woods, Jamari Thrash, and Jordan Akins are looking at your backup wide receivers and tight end. Joel Bonito still leading their offensive line along with Wyatt Teller. Jedrick Willis Jr. and Jack Conklin are both injured to start the training camp, so it's going to be interesting to see if they're going to be able to get healthy. Pass rush wise, Darius Smith, Myles Garrett. Pretty good combo. Yeah. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I even said this right the first 4 times I said it before. I just messed it up right there. A little bit embarrassing, I won't lie, but we'll move past it. But you got Jordan Hicks, Devin Bush, Denzel Ward, Greg Delpit, Greg Newsome, Juan Thornhill. I mean, this is a really, really, really good team, honestly. They have a really, really good depth. It's just all going to come down to quarterback play again. Between Deshaun Watson, who I don't know, I'm assuming he's going to start the year, but they have him questionable right now, and he's a little bit, I think, still coming back. I don't know. This whole Deshaun Watson thing's just been so weird at this point. And I don't even know if we're going to get the guy we saw for in Houston back at this point. So, Jameis Winston and Tyler Huntley, I don't want to say guaranteed, but it's almost, they're probably going to see a decent amount of time if I had to guess. Between who's going to start between them, my guess is probably Jameis Winston. They have him second on the depth chart, but would not be shocked if Huntley starts over Jameis or vice versa. I don't know who would get the start in that situation. Look at their schedule. Week 1, they play home against Dallas, and they travel to Jacksonville, home against the Giants, travel to the Raiders, travel to the Commanders, travel to the Eagles, home versus the Bengals, home versus the Ravens, home versus the Chargers. So you get 3 home, 3 away before they go to a bye week on week 10. Then you got away versus Saints, home against Pittsburgh, away at Denver, at Pittsburgh, versus Chiefs, at Bengals, versus Dolphins, at Baltimore. So like I said, the reason I'm leaning at 8.5 for their under on their team is just I just genuinely have no idea what their schedule. I mean, I would not be shocked if they, for example, we're going to say they beat the Cowboys. I don't think I'll be picking them that game, but if they beat the Cowboys, that's that. They beat Jacksonville, beat Giants, beat Raiders. They could beat Washington. I mean, you could be looking at them being 5-0 heading into Philly. That's not shocking, or they could lose to Dallas, Jacksonville, or the Raiders, lose to any of those 3 teams and be 2-2 heading into, or sorry, 3-2, 2-3 heading into Philly. I mean, I truly don't know with this team. That's why this was the hardest team to break down for me, because they had just so much of a shuffle of quarterbacks last year, and then now none of those quarterbacks are going to be back except for Deshaun Watson, who played the least out of all of them. Man, I just don't know. This team, I think they got some good signings, like I said. Defensively, I think they're going to be really, really good. When Nick Chubb's going to come back, they're going to still have a strong running game. I still think with Dante Foreman and Jerome Ford, they're going to be able to get some stuff done with the run game. Just obviously neither of those two dudes are Nick Chubb. But like I said, I lean at their win total at under 8.5 wins, just simply for the fact that I can't find 9 wins on their schedule. I think that if I look at, let's see, Giants, we'll just say Giants, Commanders, I feel confident giving them wins there. They'll split all the games in the division, we'll just say that. There's 5 wins. They can beat the Saints, there's 6. They can beat Denver, there's 7. And then past that, with the rest of their schedule, man, a lot of toss-up games. Like, they could beat the Chargers, but they could also lose to the Chargers. They can beat the Jaguars, or they could also lose to the Jaguars. I don't know. I'm putting a decent amount of respect on this team, but it's just this whole Deshaun Watson factor that's hanging over my head. I just truly can't. I don't know. I just can't shake it. Can't fully trust. Can't just get around to trusting myself to take anything. So with that being said, I don't think I have any futures going to be placed on this Browns team. I expect them to be, maybe, I'm not going to say fall back down to earth, but I mean, I'm projecting them to basically lose 2 more games than they won last year. That's all it is. It's nothing too crazy. I mean, last year they go from 11-6 to 9-8. It's not too crazy, but I don't know. We'll look through at least the team specials real quick, see if there's anything that pops to my eye. But yeah, like player position wise, I'm not going to take anybody for anything, just because of what's going to happen at quarterback. It could be different. Between Deshaun Watson, Jameis Winston, and Tyler Huntley, you could have 3 completely different outcomes there. And play style even as well. So I'm good. I'm going to stay away. So it's probably going to end up being the same when it comes to their specials as well. Just because I assume most of their specials are going to be, Myles Garrett to have 15 plus sacks is plus 170. That's something we will look at. I'm not taking it just yet, but I mean, or sorry, did I say Myles Jack? I meant Myles Garrett. Myles Jack, I haven't heard that name in a minute. That used to be a linebacker who played for the Steelers. And I'm saying used to play for Steelers, like it wasn't just like 5-6 years ago or something like that. 15 plus sacks is like I said, plus 170. That's something I'll keep an eye on. I think Myles Garrett's going to have a good season. Darius Smith being on the other side of him should help as well. Deshaun Watson, 5+ rushing touchdowns at plus 380 is actually kind of tempting. I just don't know if he's going to stay healthy all season. Because past that, yeah, I'm not interested in any of the rest of their season specials. It's not even worth reading out. But just for the sake of argument, if Deshaun Watson has a full healthy season, we will at least check out what his rushing... Because I don't even know what his rushing totals... He used to rush a good amount, but 5 in a season, especially from a quarterback, feels like a lot. But, hey, you never know. Man, I need something to fill, like, time when I do these quick looks. So, let's see. So, he's had 5 2 times in his career, and that was in 2018 and 2019. I won't lie, those were 2 of his best years in Houston, where he had them, so... Because, yeah, in 2020 in Houston, he played 16 games, but... And he had 3, so... 2 out of the 3 years when he had 3 of his best seasons. Tempting! So, but it's only plus 380. I don't think I'm really trying to get some. I feel like if it was like plus 4, plus 500, I'd maybe be a little bit more interested, but we'll at least put it down because I don't have a lot to talk about for this team, so if Deshaun Watson can stay healthy, 5+, it's definitely doable because he's athletic enough, and, I mean, he is talented enough, but it's just he hasn't played so long that, I don't know, timing could be off, he could get hurt again, he could end up just being done and not able to play anymore, and imagine if he just can't really play anymore at all, the fleecing of a deal that Houston did on Cleveland. Mind-blowing. Anyway, we'll move on now. We'll go to the Steelers. 10-7 last year, rotating cast at quarterback. I think between... actually, it wasn't too bad. It was just between Kenny Pickett and Mitch. Mason Rudolph, I think, saw some time as well. Man, was Mitch there last year? I'm pretty sure he was. Matt Canada, I believe, got fired midway through the season last year. If that was last year, insane year for the Steelers. Still found a way to go 10-7. Mike Tomlin has yet to have a losing season, and that will go into the win total that we'll talk about here in a minute. But some of the signings they have: Arthur Smith came over to be the offensive coordinator this season. They released Keanu Neal because of a failed physical. Released Patrick Peterson and Allen Robinson. They signed Russell Wilson to the 1-year deal because they basically are getting him at a huge discount. They got Justin Fields in a trade, so that's going to be the 2 quarterback things to deal with. Because they got your boy Artie Smith, they also signed Cordell Patterson, who they look to use and more than just a gadget role, I believe. If I believe what I saw was right, he's going to be more than just a gadget guy. Like, he might actually get legitimate carries. Could be wrong about that, but I do know they're going to use him for more. Or at least for a little bit more than just small package stuff. Re-signed Alex Highsmith, restructured his deal a little bit. They signed Scotty Miller to a 1-year deal. They're using the 5th-year option. I believe it's that on either 4th or 5th-year option on Najee Harris. I assume this is going to be his last year with the... I'd not be shocked if it's his last year with the Steelers. It just feels like it's kind of leaning towards that way, but... We'll have to see. I'll be looking at their 2 deep. I'm assuming Russell Wilson's going to be their starter. He missed camp today with an injury, but it doesn't seem like it's anything too serious. But that's something at least to keep an eye on. Not starting running back, I guess running back wise, doesn't have to be starting. Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, Cordell Patterson, LaMichael P. Reiner, they're 4. Like I said, look for Patterson, Jalen Warren. I assume Jalen Warren will probably separate himself from Najee at some point in the season. Not 100% sure of when, but at some point in the season, I believe that he will. Then if you look at the rest of their team, you got George Pickens, Van Jefferson, Roman Wilson, the starters, Calvin Austin, the 3rd, Quez Watkins, Scoop Miller. Behind them, we got Marquez Callaway, Pat Freiermuth, Darnell Washington, Connor Hayward. That's a pretty solid tight end room right there between Freiermuth, Washington, and Hayward. I'd be curious to see if Washington ends up taking over for Freiermuth a little bit. I don't know if he will, but... Offensively, this is going to be a really interesting year for the Steelers. I assume... I don't know who the captain of their O-line would be. I'm usually at least can find one guy. Maybe Isaac Samalu, but he might be newer. I don't know. Maybe Roderick Jones. Usually it's been at least able to find one guy who's like, oh yeah, that's the older guy who's usually the leader of them. I don't really know. Defensively, Larry Ogunjobi, Cam Hayward, T.J. Watt, Cole Holcomb came over from Washington. That's probably a really good signing. Patrick Queen came over from the Ravens. That's probably really good. Patrick Queen came over from the Ravens. I just said that. Alex Highsmith, we just talked about him a little bit. Minka Fitzpatrick, Dante Jackson. We've talked about Cam Sutton, DeMonte Casey, Chris Boswell is their kicker. I mean, this is the Steelers team. I think is going to be another. It's going to be another good year for the Steelers. Their win total over unders at 8.5. Yeah. I think shout out to Dylan Cease, by the way. He just threw a no-hitter as we're talking live. He just finished out the no-hitter. I have no idea what number that is in the season, but don't think there's been too many this year. And it's the second franchise no-hitter in Padres history, but all right, now shut up. No more baseball. But look at the schedule. Like I said, the win total over-unders at 8.5 wins at plus 122. Give me the over all day, every day. I'm all over this over. We have seen, 17 years, I think, or however long Tomlin's been coaching, like 16, 17 years of just winning season after winning season after winning season. Maybe, I actually don't know how long he's been in. How long has Tomlin been a coach? At least at the Steelers. How long is Tomlin? Why is it not spelling right? Tomlin's been in the Steelers since 2007. I'm not gonna lie, that's a great pull by your boy. But yeah, for 17 years he's had a winning record there. So I have a 17-0 record. Talking to my face, they're gonna be good. They're gonna be good. Week 1 they traveled to Atlanta, revenge game for Artie Smith. Traveled to Denver week 2, home for Chargers week 3. Traveled to Indy week 4. Home versus Cowboys week 5. Travel to the Raiders week 6. Home versus Jets week 7. Monday week 8. Prime time against the Giants. Week 9 bye. Week 10 against Washington. They travel to Washington. Week 11. Home for the Ravens. Week 12 they travel to Cleveland. Travel to the Bengals. Home versus Cleveland. Travel to Philly. Travel to the Ravens. Home versus KC. Home versus Cincinnati. So the back end of the schedule where it gets a little bit scary, but the Steelers have a chance to start out pretty decent. I mean, Atlanta, Denver, there's 2 wins I potentially think they could have. They could beat the Chargers. They can go either way. Could beat the Colts. They can go either way. So there's potentially 3 wins there. We'll just go with 2 for sake of argument. Cowboys, that's going to be a tough one, but maybe they could. Raiders, they could probably beat. There's 3. Giants, they could beat. There's 4. Commanders, they could. There's 5. If they split every game in their division, there's 8. And then that means you just basically need to find one more win between Philly, Baltimore, Kansas City, and then we didn't count the Colts or Chargers. So, I mean, it's realistically doable. It's just going to all come down to how Russ plays this year. If there was a year for Tomlin not to get the record, some would say it was last year, but he kept the record going. Some would say potentially could be this year. I wouldn't be shocked, but this is something I just feel like the Steelers are going to have a winning record. They're consistently good. Their defense is going to be really, really good. Their schedule gets really tough at the end of the year because Bengals, Kansas, so like basically from week 12 on, week 11 on, it's Ravens, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Philly, Baltimore, Kansas City, Cincinnati. That is a brutal end of the stretch. I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 6 of their division games. Holy shit! They basically play their whole division. They basically play all their division games at the end of the season, pretty much. Because they play literally all. Yeah, they play all their division games from week 11 on. So that's a very tough end of the schedule for them. I don't. Yeesh, man. Won't lie. Sort of lost my train of thought a little bit yelling at the dogs, but overall, yeah, just roughed into the schedule. They even got a game against the Chiefs on Netflix. That's going to be interesting. Yeah, but like I said, week 11 on, they play basically all their division games, which is hilarious. I mean, this is the first time I've seen a schedule kind of like this, where they play all their division games like that. But yeah, I think I'm still going to sit with them going 9-8 somehow. It's just the Steelers. They find a way to go 9-8. I think they'll find another way to go 9-8. I won't be shocked if this is the first season that Tomlin breaks it, but it just feels like... I feel like they'll find a way to win a lot of these games, especially if Russ can just be somewhat good. Because, yeah, I mean, like, still, if we talked about it a little bit when we talked about the Broncos and everything, it didn't feel like Sean Payton was giving Russ the full playbook, and it didn't feel like there was a total connection there. I mean, shit, they got Justin Fields. If anything, too, they might be able to come in and maybe do something. It's all going to come down to quarterback play, which seems like a lot of these teams, it does come down to that, but especially for the Steelers, because defensively they're going to be good. Offensively, they should be good enough. So we're just going to have to see. Some of their specials, Steelers, 1+ touchdown every game. I'm good on that. I will say, George Pickens, 10+ receiving touchdowns is plus 500. Russ only threw 25 touchdowns in total last year, so I'm probably going to stay away from a lot of the touchdown props. They have Justin Fields 10+ rushing touchdowns at plus 750. that is something we aren't going to take, but we're going to keep our eye on. Because that's juicy enough odds where it's like, well, if I got an extra like 20 to 30 that I'm not using, maybe throw it on that. So we got Fields. Is that 10 plus rushing? Or is it? Yeah, 10. I mean, that's a lot of. That's a shit ton, so there's a reason those odds are huge. But, I mean, hey, there's a chance. I don't know. There's going to be one of those ones where it's like, like I said, if I have an extra 20 or 30 at the end of the year, maybe sprinkle it on to add on. But, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to take it. One I will probably take, though, Pittsburgh Steelers score 1+ field goal every game. I feel like they're going to be good enough to get in the field goal range and kick it. It's all just going to come down to is there going to be a game where they're just getting their ass kicked and there's no there it is. Couldn't find my pen. There it is. If there's a reason for them to not kick a field goal. But especially at plus 2,600. I mean, with Chris Boswell back there as well, I will take those odds. So 1+ field goal at plus 2,600. I think there's a chance that the Steelers should be. I mean, I think they're going to not get shut out every single game. So I think there will be a lot of games where they have to settle for field goals, and I think that's doable. Past that, yeah, I don't think I'm going to take anything else for the Steelers because, like I said, the end of the schedule's brutal, man. If I didn't have that 17-0 Tomlin having a winning season record in front of me, I would say that like I don't think they're going to potentially do it this year because I mean, shit, 6 division from week 11, 6 division games. You got 6 division games. And not only do you have the 6 division games, the other 2 games are the Chiefs. And I'm pretty sure who else was it? The Chiefs and the Eagles. Like, those aren't easy teams. I mean, that is just insane, man. So, yeah, if they, coming out of the bye, if they don't got a great record, it could get really, really scary. Realistically, we probably want them to be, we'll say 1, 2, 3. You probably want, because they're going to, let me recount that. 1, 2, 3, 4. You probably want probably 5 wins. 4 to 5 wins, I think, would be a safe spot. If they have anything less than that, it's going to get really scary because yeesh, man, the end of schedule is disgusting. Moving on, we will talk about the Bengals. Like I said, Bengals finished 9-8 last year, dealt with injuries to Joe Burrow, and then that's basically, when he got hurt, their whole season pretty much fell apart after that. So, they also lost Joe Mixon. He traveled to Houston now. He's going to be their running back. They signed Zach Moss in his place. They're dealing with all this bullshit with T. Higgins, who probably won't be there this year or next year potentially. So, this could be the last year we see this edition of the Bengals, because after this, they're probably going to pay Joe Burrow, pay Jamar Chase, and then we're going to see a few different names. I mean, we're already starting to see it slowly, but overall, when it comes to them, I mean, it's still a very similar team, but just not exactly the same. They lost Tyler Boyd, lost Joe Mixon, like we just talked about. So looking at their team now, you got Joe Burrow, Jake Browning, the 1-2. Zach Moss is going to be the starting running back most likely, and you got Chase Brown, Travion Williams, and Chris Evans behind him. I don't know who's going to become the 2, 3, 4. I feel like that order could end up changing. You got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Jermaine Burton. I think he has a chance. Especially if they like Jermaine Burton, I could see them for sure getting rid of T. Higgins, just to save the money so they can pay Chase, because they can't play both Chase and Higgins, and they've made it sound like they're willing to bend over backwards for Jamar Chase, if you read some reports. Trent Irwin, Andre Yoshivash, Charlie Jones are going to be their backups. You got Mike Gesicki, Drew Sample, Tanner Hudson, Orlando Brown, Alex Kaplan, Ted Karras, Trent Brown. I mean, not a bad O-line. Not the best O-line in the league, but it's not a horrible one. You got Sam Hubbard, Sheldon Rankins, B.J. Hill, Trey Hendrickson, Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt, Cam Taylor, Geno Stone, Mike Hilton. I mean, like I said, we talked about a little bit. The Bengals are a still very solid team. Bring back a lot of the guys from last year. Bring back Joe Burrow, who's going to be healthy this season. So they look to their over/under win totals at 10.5 wins at minus 134. Also along with the Cleveland Browns one. I don't think I'm going to be touching this. This is just another one of those teams in the division where it's just, I think they're going to be good. I think they should win over 10.5 games, but for minus 134 juice. I mean, I'm good. I'm not gonna lay that much juice for them to win 11 games, even though their schedule is a lot better compared to Pittsburgh. So let me tell you what. So they traveled to the Patriots or they're home against the Patriots week 1. Travel to Kansas City week 2. Play Washington or home for Washington week 3 Monday Night Football. Travel to Carolina. Home versus the Ravens. Travel to the Giants. Travel to Cleveland. Home versus the Eagles. Home versus Raiders. Travel to Ravens. Travel to Chargers. Home versus Pirates. Pirates. Wrong Pittsburgh team. The Steelers. They have the week 12 bye, which is huge. So week 13 coming out of the bye, they play Pittsburgh. Then they have 2 Monday night games. Damn, they play the Cowboys. They travel to Dallas, play the Cowboys for Monday Night Football. Play the Titans week 15, travel there. Home against Cleveland, home against Denver, and then they travel to Pittsburgh week 18. And yeah, like I said, this schedule is a lot better than Pittsburgh's schedule. I guess that's the difference in them being the Steelers being the 3rd place team and this team being the 4th place team. Which is crazy, man. Steelers kind of got boned by the 3rd place because, yeah, I mean, I think they beat New England. There's 1 win. I think they beat the Commanders. There's 2 wins. Beat Carolina. There's 3. Beat Giants. There's 4. We're going to hold the divisions off for a second. I think they beat Tennessee. There's 5. Split every division game in their division. There's 8. I don't know if they're going to. There's 8 of your wins right there. And then they have games against Denver they could probably beat. There's 9. They have games against Dallas. Dallas, I think they could potentially get. Chargers, potentially could get. Ravens, potentially could get. Raiders, they could potentially get. There's 10, if you want to count the Raiders. So, I mean, if you look at their schedule, they realistically, and they have the Chiefs. If they play the Chiefs like they normally can, there could be their 11th win. Like, realistically, they have the schedule to win 11 games. This is going to be a really good team going into next year. It's just, like I said, their shit's kind of juiced as well. So, I'm probably going to just end up laying off the over-under win totals just for the simple reason that I think it's just a slight bit too juiced. As I still think they're going to be a really good team, but man, if you think they're going to be the best win specials, best record in the, I mean, for plus 1100, we'll write it down. Don't know if this is even going to make it to the chopping block, but best record at plus 1100. I mean, not horrible. I haven't checked out everybody's schedules, though, compared to theirs to see if there's any other good team that's going to have a cakewalk schedule where they're able to potentially be up in a lot of games late for a majority of the season. But their odds are 4th best to have the best record. So, I mean, why not? Score the most points. Where's that at? Yeah, we don't need to. Well, should I look that up for them to score the most points? That might be potentially something that we'll talk about that when I go to the futures episode. But that might be a team who might be up there potentially for the most points scored. Looking at their team specials though, them to score one plus touchdown in every game is plus 100. Looking back at their schedule, I mean, I won't lie to you. I don't think there's a game they don't score a touchdown in. So that's probably gonna make the chopping block as well. 1 plus TD every game is plus 100. It just depends if Burrow can stay healthy. That's all it comes down to. If Burrow's still healthy all season, which I think he probably will. I think he has a chance to be healthy this year. I feel like he had his knee injury, which was, I'm not going to say fluky because he did get hit a lot. So that kind of sucked and missed the year. He came back, was really good. And then last year had that weird wrist injury. So hopefully that they said happens mostly to like linebackers and DBs. So hopefully he can stay healthy this year. That should be improved. But yeah, I mean, look at their schedule. I mean, they truly got a chance to make some magic happen. Zach Moss, 10 plus rushing touchdowns, plus 340. I'm good. Hendrickson, 15 plus sacks. That's a lot. I'm going to say wait. Jamar Chase, 13 plus receiving touchdowns. So we're going to look at his actual number. Joe Burrow, 5 plus rushing. We're going to stay away from that. Joe Burrow, 40 plus passing. Has he done that before? I mean, schedule-wise, I think they might have a chance to do some of that shit. So we'll just have to see. Sorry, I thought I left this tab open. I have to reopen up this tab. Yeah, he's gotten 34 and 35 in his 2 best seasons, so I'm good. I'm not going to bet the 40 then. I thought he got a little bit closer than that. But yeah, I'm not going to take anything there then. So we're going to look at receiving props real quick for Jamar Chase before we talk about our final team. like I said, when it comes to AFC North, as of right now, looking at like some of these, looking through my first look through the futures, there's just not been much I've liked with a lot of these teams. Like there's some, like I said, you've seen a few of the sums where I'm like, yeah, I might take this later, but there's been nothing that's just like, oh yes, I have to take that. I think so far, the damn near might be the AFC. It's either the AFC West or the AFC East. I actually have the most bets in those divisions, surprisingly. I didn't think it'd be that way. I thought it ended up being the AFC South, but to have 12,050 receiving yards, Jamar Chase is plus 105. He has minus 420 to have 1,000 yards receiving this season. Tyreek Hill's minus 1,600. That's hilarious. Okay, like I said, looking at Jamar Chase. Oh, I opened the wrong thing. That was my bad. I was confused. I'm like, why is it not showing his receiving props? They have the most regular season receiving yards. Jamar Chase is plus 1,200 if you think he's going to do that. I personally, I don't know. I just don't think I can get myself to it. I think I'm going to stay away from that one. Looking at Jamar Chase's regular season receiving total, he's at 1,200 yards. So honestly, if you want to get some, I mean, the difference is, I don't know what would be more worth it, honestly. His over-under is at 1,200.5 yards, so they pretty much think he's going to get 12,000 yards receiving. That one bet I just told you about was for him to get 1,250 was at plus 105. This is minus 112 for either side. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm probably going to, no. A little too big for me and probably end up staying away from that one. Jamar Chase to have the most regular season receiving touchdowns is plus 1,700 if you think that's going to be him. And if you want to go to his receiving touchdowns, he has his over-unders at 9.5 plus money. Ooh, that might be tempting. Before we talk about the Ravens end it, let me check what his receiving touchdowns are. Let's see. He has 29 total. He had 13 in 2021. 9 in 2022, 7 in 2023. That is one I think we're probably going to end up taking, honestly. Especially if he's in a contract year as well. You would think he'd go off. 9.5 TDs for Jay Chase is plus 142. So that's something we're going to keep an eye on. Not officially going to take it. Probably will end up taking it, but wrote it in black, so it's more likely to make the cutting room floor than the ones in red. And if you want, we'll take a peek at T. Higgins, I guess, just for if I can even do that. T. Higgins, his over-under's at 5.5. I think it's potentially, I think it might be a little bit too low, honestly. 6.675 touchdowns. So 5.5 minus 142. Not going to lie, the juice is kind of ass, but if we can get better odds, or better, if the odds can be better, I definitely think it's in play. Minus 142. Thing a little too juicy for me, but I bet that's pretty much hit every single season except for last year where he had 5. And he's playing for a contract as well, so you look for him to be playing and be even better. Looking at the final team, though, we're going to go to the Baltimore Ravens, who are 13-4. Made it as far as they make it to was they the AFC Championship? I believe it was them. Man, I can't remember that from last year. Yeah, it was Ravens Chiefs. Ravens ended up falling short 17-10. Really, really successful season up to that point, pretty much. Just couldn't get the job done. Just couldn't beat the Chiefs. If I do remember right, I think they actually came really, really close, but just ended up not beat. Just like every other team last year, just right when they were about to do it, the Chiefs just had some magic go their way, and that magic involves Patrick Mahomes, and boom, aren't able to get it done. Going to this year, they look to be a team to go back. They had a lot of really good signings. I'm just trying to think of. I'm so excited to talk about a few of these names. Justin Madubuike, huge signing. They lose their defensive coordinator, who's now the coach of the Seattle Seahawks. So that part sucks a little bit, but hey, they got some real big signings. They signed Derrick Henry. 2-year contract with him. That's going to be huge. Their backfield's going to be absolutely disgusting now. Let's just go over this dude. Let's just go over this 2 deep. Lamar Jackson's going to be your starter. Josh Johnson's going to be his backup with Devin Leary being the 3rd string. Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, and Keaton Mitchell is your running back room. When Keaton Mitchell comes back, him and Derrick Henry could be a kind of nasty 1-2 combo. I look for them to potentially add a running back, at some point in the season, just for the fact that unless Keaton Mitchell, depending how long Keaton Mitchell's injured, they might want to look to add a running back. Keaton Mitchell, I think, is going to be really good. It's just the fact he's coming off an ACL, so I don't know exactly what version of him we're fully getting back in this year. They got Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Nelson Aguilar, Devontae Walker, who played for UNC last year, Deontay Hardy, Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews are your tight ends, with Mark Andrews being the starter. I think I would not be shocked to see a lot of two tight end set. You got Patrick Ricard at fullback, then Ronnie Stanley, Tyler Lindenbaum. Got strong offensive line. Andrew Voorhees, I believe, is coming back from... Oh, good shit, actually. Shout out to him for being a starter. He was the guy last year who tore his ACL/MCL/PCL, whichever one of those it was, and he tore it in the draft combine, so the fact that he's going to make it back, that's honestly awesome. Shout out to him. And he made it back as a starter for a really good football team. So shout out to him. I forgot he got even drafted by the Ravens, honestly. And Voorhees, sick-ass last name. Justin Madubuike, Michael Pierce, Broderick Washington are going to be your starting three up front. Then you got Odofe Owe, Roquan Smith, Trenton Simpson, Kyle Van Noy, Marlon Humphrey, Kyle Hamilton, Marcus Williams, Brandon Stevens, Andrew Millette. Defense, going to be really good again this year. Offense, going to be really good again this year. They're over-under win totals at 10.5. I think I'm potentially going to go over for this team. By the way, if you're wondering if these over-unders correlate with how I think the divisions are going to go, kind of not really. I'm just kind of betting on the fact that assuming I'm going to lose like one, potentially or two of these, so it's like I'm just taking some, like for example, you're probably like, wait, how can the Ravens go over 11 wins, the Bengals go over 11 wins, and the Steelers go over 9 wins? I don't know. I mean, there's a chance it could happen. There's a chance it doesn't. But for the most part, I am just taking this as, okay, if I'm just betting on this team. So it's like, because there's a chance, let's be honest, how many futures I'm giving out. Some are going to overlap each other and end up like canceling each other out. But if the odds are good enough, like for example, the Steelers being plus 122 for their win total versus the Ravens being minus 10.5 for their win total. Like that semi-balances out. Say if the Steelers wins, it's like, oh yeah, maybe that covers this one and all that. So I am not looking, I'm trying to have some correlation, but for some of them it's just like, I understand there's not going to be total correlation, especially for some of these win totals. But like I said, the Steelers is only the for sure one I'm betting. I'm on the fence with the Ravens one, mainly because of their schedule. Because they travel to Kansas City, first game Thursday Night Football, and then the season. Then it's home for Raiders, travel to Cowboys, home versus Buffalo, travel to Bengals, home versus Commanders, travel to Buccaneers Monday Night Football, travel to Cleveland, home versus Broncos, home versus Bengals, travel to the Steelers, travel to the Chargers, home versus Eagles, Week 14 bye, huge for them. Week 15 they play the Giants, they travel to New York, home versus Pittsburgh, travel to Houston, home versus Cleveland, Cleveland. But yeah, so looking at their schedule, we'll say Washington, there's 1 guaranteed win. We'll say they beat Tampa Bay, there's 2. Beat Denver, there's 3. We'll say they beat the Chargers for science, there's 4. Beat the Giants, there's 5. And then they split with their division, there's 6, 7, and 8. And that means you have to find 3 wins between Chiefs, Raiders, Cowboys, Buffalo, Cincy. I guess we don't count Cincy, so Chiefs, Raiders, Buffalo, Dallas, Philly, and then Houston. Between that, you have to find like the 3 or 4 wins. It's definitely doable. There's going to be another really good team. They're going to be really good again next year. I mean, they went 13-4 last year. Have brought back. I would say their only big loss was their defensive coordinator. Other than that, they brought back. If they lost anybody, they brought back somebody who was, if not better, at least equal to. So like I said, I think it's gonna be a really good team. They're under win total 10.5. No idea if I'm gonna take it. I probably, like I said, might end up just only on the Steelers, just for the simple fact that I cannot get myself to take some of these in the AFC North because I just don't trust. I don't know. All it takes is for one. Like, what if Lamar gets injured this year, and then boom, their whole season's derailed, and it basically kills every single future that I would have on that team. And I don't know. Like I said, I've looked before through with the AFC North. The AFC North is just a weird conference to me, so I'm just kind of trying to stay out of it for as much as I can. There's some stuff I'm going to take, obviously, because I'm giving out some stuff, and I'll give out the full list that I'm for sure taking at the end of the show. But, man, there's just some weird shit, dude. Weird shit in this division that I just can't get my finger on. They haven't scored 1+ touchdown every game, -110. I think that's doable, but for -110, the odds are a little bit shit, to be honest. By the way, I didn't even think about their win specials and everything. Shit. If you think they're gonna have the best record, +1200, I don't think they will. Yeah, I don't think they will. Their schedule's really, really tough. I think they're going to be really... I mean, shit, I could be wrong, though. They were the 1 seed last year. I think they were the number 1 overall seed even at that last year, so... It's possible, but I just don't know. That's a hard thing to redo back-to-back years. Matabike, 10 sacks. No, thank you. Kyle Hamilton, 5 interceptions, +340. Man, they love these 5 interceptions for just, like, not the best odds. Zay Flowers, 10+ receiving touchdowns, +470. Maybe. Derrick Henry, 15+ rushing touchdowns. That's a shit ton. Lamar Jackson, 10+ is +650. Derrick Henry, 15+ is +500. Yeah, I think I'm going to stay away from this shit, too. I might take Lamar Jackson's passing touchdowns. Him to have 30+. What was that at? Oh, it's 35+ by itself. That's stupid. Lamar. I might take some Lamar Jackson stuff. Let me see. Oh my god, I just messed it up. I want to see his rush touchdowns and his pass touchdowns from the last few seasons. So rush touchdowns, so they're really telling you I would not take him. They have him to score 10+ +500. I would not take that. He has not hit 10+ once in his career. The closest he's gotten is 7, and that was in 2019-2020. So, yeah, that's dead as shit. What a... Man, they just want you to take that 10. Passing touchdown-wise, he's had 36 in 2019. Last year he had 24. So, I mean, maybe. I would say if anything... Yeah, thinking about it, I thought he had a really good season last year, and he only had 24 last year with the rush. I'm good. I'm probably going to stay away just because he had 30 total touchdowns, I guess. That's kind of more of what I was thinking of. One thing I will look at, though, is the rushing props for... Real quick, we'll just take a peek at the rushing props for Derrick Henry and then the Lamar Jackson. We'll probably head out of here because I don't have too much left to talk about. Derrick Henry, +1200 to be the league leader in rushing by the end of the season. His rushing yards are at 925. Over under. I might take that over. Henry over. It's -112. We'll see though. I really don't think I'll take this, but this is at least something I'll keep an eye on. Because I do think they're going to get to the point where they can potentially run the ball a lot. But if it's not going to let me look it up, then I'm just not even going to take it at all. I might take it as a sign from the universe. So sorry, let me buy. I know I'm kind of killing time here and being an asshole, but give me one quick second. So Derrick Henry, so last rush touchdowns. We'll just do touchdowns first. So last year, 12 rushing touchdowns, 1,100 yards. I mean, you'd only be at 925 after having 1,100. I mean, he hasn't had that low of rushing yards since 2017. Derrick Henry has, and I know he might be sharing the backfield a little bit and not get as much carries, but yeah, I'm for sure probably going to take that over now, seeing his numbers. I think they're... And then his rushing touchdowns are at 10.5 +100. That one does kind of make me nervous, but last year his numbers have been 12, 16, 17, 10, 13, 12. So we'll at least write it down. Henry over 10.5 TDs. Rush is +100. You never know. That'll be another one if I'm done with a few futures, have a little future money left over to play, so I'll probably do that. But yeah, that's probably going to do it for today. If I had to rank my division in order, how I think it's going to go this year, I think Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, Browns, with the three of them having a winning record this year, with the Browns potentially being 8-9, or if they do get a winning record, they're going to be the 9-8 team this year. Bet-wise, for sure, taking the Steelers over 8.5 wins. 1+ field goal for the Steelers in every single game, plus 2,600. For the Browns, I'm not really taking anything. I might consider taking Myles Garrett 15 sacks, but we have not taken that yet. Bengals wise, we're going to take Jamar Chase over 9.5 touchdowns at plus 142. And then if Higgins' numbers gets better, we're going to look at the 5.5 minus 142. I think the odds are horrible. Love the number, horrible odds. Plus 100 for the Bengals to score a touchdown every game. That's something else I may take. And then for the Ravens to finish it off, 1+ touchdown every game, minus 110, not taking that. Henry over 925.5 rushing yards, minus 112. I am going to take that. And I'm probably going to take Derrick Henry over 10.5 rushing touchdowns. And that is plus 100. And thank you all for watching. Thank you for the support. I really do appreciate it. I won't lie. It's going to be interesting August. I have a lot of busy days upcoming. I know the first 2 weeks of August I'll be good, but I'm getting surgery. Nothing major, minor surgery, thankfully. I'm getting... I'll share it. I'm getting a cyst removed somewhere in my face, so I pretty much am going to be out from Wednesday. I get it done on a Wednesday, so I'm going to be out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Hopefully going to pre-record for that. And then the following week, I should be back as long as I'm assuming the surgery will be fine. So I'll probably come back. You might see me with stitches on my face if I am talking, which if you... That's going to be the biggest thing. I'm going to have stitches on my face, so I may take the week off. I may not. That's TBD. But then the following week, my boy Aaron's getting married. We're having his bachelor party on that Labor Day weekend. So pretty much the last 3 weeks of July, the last 2 to 3 weeks of August going into September, it's going to be really busy for your boy. I plan on being on, like I said. It's just really going to depend on just like the surgery and everything. Because for example, next week normal episodes, following week normal episodes, and then that third week. So I might end up taking a week off from the division breakdowns, maybe just for so I can push it back a week to cover. So next week, if there's no division breakdowns, that's why. It's just simply for the fact that I'm going to do the division breakdowns ahead of time, so that way I can record it, have it scheduled to upload, and then not worry about having to, get on the day after I have surgery. But yeah, so like I said, there's going to be an episode the 30th of July, and then August 1st. Should be an episode on the 6th and the 8th. And then there should be potentially an episode on the 13th. Should be a pre-recorded episode on the 15th because, like I said, 14th through 15th is when I'm going to be out with surgery. And then when it comes to the week of August 20th and 22nd on episodes, there might be episodes, might not be. It just depends, like I said. If I get too self-conscious about having stitches in my face because they're going to be pretty visible, I might just take that week off and then come back the following week. But if not, you might see me then. And then my boys' bachelor party starts on the 29th. I'll be back on the 2nd, and you'll see me again on the 3rd. So pretty much, yep. Last 2 weeks of August can be a little chaotic for your boy, but I still plan to be on, still plan to break some stuff down because, hey, just because I'm busy, football ain't waiting for me. But that's going to also be the nice part, is when I get back on September 3rd on the straight schedule, it's right in the football season. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for the support. I really do appreciate it. And I will see everybody back on this feed on Thursday. Just kidding, it's already Thursday. I'll see everyone back in this feed next week for either the NFC breakdowns or we'll just talk a little bit of NFL and college football action.